Man, MVP discussions are one of the best topics you can debate on. I love sitting down with my friends on Saturdays and having these debates with, you guessed it, a glass of beer, perhaps some buffalo chicken wings. I love beer, and I love wings. They're like Steph Curry and Draymond Green. They just have so much chemistry and work so well together. I mean, individually, they're great, but when you pair them up together, what do you get? A good evening. Smash that like button, guys. Subscribe if you're new. Welcome back to Hoop Reports. Let's get into it. It's now getting close to that time of year when players have played enough games and put up enough stats for fans, players, GMs, the media, and just about everyone to start thinking about this season's potential MVP winner. This season is very exciting because numerous players have done enough to toss their hats into the MVP ballot. I bet if you asked 5 of your friends who they think the MVP of this season is so far, you'd get at least 3 or 4 different answers. In this video, I'm going to focus in on one particular player who brings his cooking utensils to every game. This man should be working in a 5-star Michelin restaurant, but instead he's doing his best to keep his basketball team afloat and in the playoff picture, while his team battles significant injuries to players on the roster and Draymond Green's technicals. This man is none other than Chef Curry. I want to answer the question, where should Steph Curry be in the MVP race? Take a second to ask yourself this question. If you already have Steph Curry as your MVP so far this season, no problem. But if you've got like 5 or 6 players ahead of Steph in the MVP race, we need to have a little bit of a talk. Before I jump into who is the MVP so far this season, we need to all agree on what the term MVP means. Yes, I know the acronym means, what is it, most valuable person? No, player. I said player, I meant player, I said player, most valuable player. I'm sorry guys, I'm still nursing a hangover. Had one too many beers last night. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so how do you determine which player is the most valuable? We all know it's not about the best player, otherwise to be honest, LeBron should have won like 10 of these awards. Some people will say it's the player most valuable to his team, while other people will say it's the player with the best overall statistics. And then you have some people who favor the best player on the best team. But how do you determine a player's value to his team, or which statistical category is most important? And what if the best team doesn't even have a superstar? These are all good questions and are what keep the conversation going. And that, my friends, is what keeps the beer coming. Life is good, guys. Life is very good. I personally believe that the MVP is the player with a complete mixture of the 3. You got to have good stats, you got to be helping your team win, and the cherry on the top is you got to be so impactful for your team that if you weren't playing, your team would stink so bad they would wake up Sleeping Beauty. So back to the hero of our movie today, Steph Curry. Does Steph Curry fit the criteria that I listed before? For the Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry is as valuable as it gets. Just to put it into perspective how valuable Steph Curry is to the Warriors, LeBron James and Kevin Durant are widely considered to be the 2 best players in the NBA. And I guarantee you that the Warriors would never trade Steph Curry, even if they were being offered both Durant and LeBron James. Well, maybe they would if they got both, but you get what I'm trying to say. The Warriors are currently battling for a playoff spot in the West. It would not be in this position if it wasn't for the gourmet meals being cooked up by Chef Curry game after game. I mean, Steph probably illustrates this point better than any other MVP candidates, because without him, they were literally dead last in the previous season. Over the last 10 games, Curry is averaging about 33 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and is shooting about 49% from three-point land. He has the stats, he has the impact, and yes, without Curry, the Warriors would be stinking so bad that even Sleeping Beauty would wake up and say, enough of this, I need a beer. And remember, we already discussed that we weren't going to only look at the team's winning percentage to determine if a player should be MVP. Just a few seasons ago, Russell Westbrook won the MVP while the Oklahoma City Thunder had a 47-35 record, only good enough for 6th in the Western Conference. If you want to go further back, another 6th place team that had an MVP is Moses Malone in the 1981-82 season, And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar won the MVP in 1976, while on a team that didn't even make the playoffs with a losing record of 40 wins and 42 losses. Surprisingly, despite Steph's heroics and his team being in playoff contention, even though they were written off after Klay Thompson's season-ending injury, Curry is only ranked at number 7 for most analysis. The MVP ladder for most people has LeBron James, Joel Embiid, and Nikola Jokic in the top 3 spots, while Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard round out the top 5. They have the Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo at the 6th spot, followed by Stephen Curry at number 7. Coincidentally, exactly how he was drafted in 2009. We all know who got the last laugh in the draft. Anyways, these guys are all performing extremely well, and I can admit that. But what I don't believe is that they're all deserving to be ahead of Steph Curry in the MVP race. Let's dig into it and see why I think Steph Curry should be ranked higher. LeBron James is at the number 1 spot on the list. He does provide incredible value to the Lakers both on and off the court, and he is most certainly the most valuable player on the Lakers. Hear me out. I think he is incredibly valuable to the Lakers, but I also believe that he shares that value with the Brow. I haven't heard anyone call him the Brow in such a long time. Has that name faded out? His eyebrows didn't. I guess the question is, if AD wasn't on the team, would the Lakers still be sitting in one of the top spots in the West? And if they weren't, would LeBron James still be sitting on top of the MVP ladder? The second guy on the MVP ladder for most people is also in a very similar situation to LeBron James. That is Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is playing on a fairly deep team, and yes, he is extremely valuable to his team. The thing is, though, the Philadelphia 76ers also have Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris, who are both stars that can carry the weight if Joel Embiid was to miss significant time. And the fact is, the 76ers would still probably be in the playoff picture if that were to happen. There aren't any players on the Golden State Warriors that can fill the gap that would be left if Steph Curry were to miss significant time for any particular reason. In addition to all of this, Joel Embiid is nowhere near as cool as Steph Curry is on the court. Although he can probably outdrink Steph on beers any day of the week, which does make him pretty cool in my book. The Joker is, well, to be fair, you can't really attack the Joker's position in the MVP race. I think Nikola Jokic is changing the perception of what a big man can do. And he can literally change the way a big man is expected to play going forward if he continues to play the way he has been playing. He is showing a combination of skills that is unheard of for centers. He is making good decisions with the ball, rebounding, and is scoring almost at will. He is doing a very good job for the Nuggets. Unfortunately, the Nuggets' record isn't a reflection of Jokic's play, but he puts on a similar argument like Steph. As good as Jamal Murray is, without the Joker, they would not be in the playoff picture. And if we're looking at stats, the Joker is nearly putting on a 27-point triple-double while nearly having averages of 50, 40, and 90. The Joker is putting Denver on the map, and because of him, it's never been a better time to be a Nuggets fan. Enter God's gift to basketball, Big Bad 7, KD, Kevin Durant. All right. How do I convince you that Steph Curry has a stronger case for MVP than Kevin Durant? To be fair, Kevin Durant can do it all for the Brooklyn Nets. But the only knocks are that he is not alone and he has missed quite a few games. Kevin Durant is very valuable to the NBA and his stats are almost identical to that of Steph Curry's, but his value to Brooklyn is not as great as Steph's value to the Golden State Warriors. The Brooklyn Nets value KD in 100 different ways, but the Golden State Warriors need Steph in 101 different ways. The Brooklyn Nets are still a playoff contender, even a potential Eastern Conference championship without KD, because they have Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and their very own Klay Thompson starter pack in Joe Harris. There's a very good core that many other teams in the NBA would kill for. Yes, I can admit, Kevin Durant makes them unstoppable on offense, but his value to the team is not as great as the Warriors that need Steph just to stay relevant. I'm just going to stop it right there. Curry should be somewhere in the top 5. If we just ignore wins and talk about most valuable, he should probably be number 1, or number 2. But if you have to factor some wins in, then he should at least be in the top 5. He's producing very similar numbers to his unanimous MVP season. So pretty much what I'm saying here is, if Klay Thompson wasn't injured and if Marquise Chris wasn't injured, the Warriors would most likely have a higher seed and therefore Curry would be winning the MVP race. But I like the debates about who should be the front runner for the MVP. It keeps the conversation going. And when the conversation is going, the beer never stops coming.